Hey there, Clayton Wellwood with the BC Libertarian Party here. You know, we put up a post on our Facebook page a little while ago asking people how they got involved in libertarianism, and there was a lot of great responses there. Really heartwarming for me to see that, we've actually managed to do something here for people. We've managed to improve their lives by exposing them to this great set of ideas, which is very inspirational, that provides a great and clear moral framework to look at the world through. And so I thought I would give my libertarian origin story, because I don't think I've ever actually put that on record or on film or anything. So just wanted to share in the fun that everybody's having on this forum, and let people know how I came to be where I am as leader of the BC Libertarian Party. So going back to my high school years, I was interested in punk rock music, and if you know a bit about punk rock, you know that anarchism is kind of a theme in punk. And so I was exposed to that, in particular a band out of Winnipeg called Propagandhi, who I think is still around playing shows. They were a huge influence on me, and they're a very political band, looking at politics. Well, I won't get in, just listen to their music. They're great musicians as well. So that was my teenage years. I developed this interest in anarchism. When I went to university, I studied international development and social anthropology. Most of my professors were Marxists. To be honest, I have very mixed feelings about what I learned in the program that I studied. A lot of kind of economic and political thinking that I've since learned is not really true. All the Marxist stuff, basically. But I really enjoyed the intellectual atmosphere there. It was very left wing, but it was very open. There was a lot of opportunities for open debate on things, and I got a lot out of that. And I got a lot out of the library. I spent a lot of time in the library there, not doing my class readings, but reading anarchist philosophy, mostly guys like Murray Bookchin and Noam Chomsky and Peter Kropotkin. So from that age, I developed a pretty clear idea in my mind that there's a lot of harmful things that the state does, that the state is not the answer to every problem, and that there are ways, and if you look at history, people have found many different ways to deal with society's problems without resorting to the state. So after university, I left Canada. I went to East Asia for a number of years, in Taiwan, first of all. And that was a really eye-opening experience to just live and be immersed in a different culture. So I was not at all involved in politics, didn't even really think about it much. I looked at the society that I saw there, and I noticed some very, very big differences with Canada. First of all, it's a very socially conservative society. Very little visible poverty. Not much of a welfare state to speak of. But very much a free market society with low taxes and very easy to start a business and get it running. Particularly the night markets there. Like if you ever have a chance to go to Taipei, the night markets will absolutely blow you away. I mean, it's like every night of the week for hours, from sunset till midnight, you have thousands of vendors out there just selling everything under the sun, and it's just total competition, and the customer always wins. Prices are great, quality is great, you can find anything you want. It's just a kind of the best example I have in my mind about what a functioning free market is like. So that gave me a different view of how society can be organized. I then moved to Japan, lived there for a couple of years, saw another model of how society can be organized. So when I got married over there, and I moved back with my wife in 2008, and so I was kind of looking at Canada, my home society, with fresh eyes in a way. And I love it here in Vancouver. Moved back to North Van, which is the town that I grew up in. But I was kind of surprised by some things. I was surprised by the cost of living. I thought moving from Tokyo to Vancouver, things would be cheaper. They weren't, basically. Tokyo was more affordable in most ways. And I noticed, it was the time, right? It was 2008, so it was the financial crash. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. The bailouts, all of the deficit spending for years and years afterwards. The central banks pushing down the interest rates. That was frustrating. My wife and I, we had some savings. We were trying to grow that savings in order to get a down payment for a home, which, of course, prices were, they kind of dipped a little bit there, but, from 2010 onwards, they just kept on going up and up and up. So we were like, oh, geez, are we ever going to be able to afford to own a home here? But, saving was hard because interest rates were so low. So, yeah, and then looking around other things, just the kind of disparity that I saw between what was happening in the public sector and the private sector in terms of employment and job security. The public sector just continued to grow in terms of number of workers, in terms of wages, benefits. Basically most of the private sector, the idea of having an index pension was kind of swept away, but the public sector workers managed to keep that, and it just seemed like, well, I don't get it. They get to have unions, but there's only one employer, and us taxpayers are the employers, so we work in the private economy to generate this wealth, and then governments, what can they do? They have to give into the demands of these public sector unions. And then we saw Christy Clark and the BC Liberals go to battle with the teachers, and I watched how that whole thing played out, and all the politics, and I don't know, a lot of divisiveness. I won't get too much into that issue, but I just saw a lot going on there. I saw the Harper government in power. They did some good things, but there were some things I really didn't like. Bill C-51, all the spying that was going on, the kind of reduction of civil liberty. Same with, of course, with the similar sort of stuff with the Patriot Act that was going on south of the border. I really didn't like what the Harper government did in terms of restricting the ability of scientists to talk about their work. I thought that was really bad. And so by the time the 2015 election rolled around, I was looking around for somebody to vote for. I had been voting Green the past number of years. I had always considered myself an environmentalist, but I'm just looking at their platform and not very inspired, and just wondering, hey, is there something else out there? I was not at all contemplating voting for any of the big parties. I've always been very cynical of the big political parties. So I looked around, and in 2015, and hey, there was this guy named Ismet Yedison who was running for this Libertarian Party. And, I had heard the word libertarian before in the context of libertarian socialism, which is, another word for left-wing anarchism, basically, which is, going back to what I was pretty attached to in my early 20s. But I looked at this Libertarian Party, and surprisingly, their policies really lined up with what I believe. A fiscally conservative approach. Don't spend more than you have. Low taxes. Pro free market. Against military adventurism. Pro civil liberties. So it's like it covered all the things, and I never knew that there was a party out there that kind of packaged those different values under one platform. So I said, awesome, I'm going to vote for this guy, and I signed up with the Libertarian Party of Canada. Looked around for other libertarian organizations or events, and I found that there was a conference going on in November of that year, organized by the Students for Liberty. So Liz Jalagu was organizing that, And they had some great speakers. They had Jody Emery, Karen Strawn, and I was just really impressed with the people there. I'd been to many left-wing conferences. I was very involved in left-wing activism when I was younger, but had become disenchanted with it long ago. But I found the people and the tone of the kind of interchange between the people there to be so different. There wasn't that kind of getting up on one's moral high horse to sort of lord it over people. There wasn't any kind of dogmatism. There was, just real genuineness, intellectual curiosity, intellectual humility, and genuine just personal friendliness. People who were, really interested to get to know one another. And I just thought, wow, this is a great crowd of people I would really like to spend more time with. And so I looked around. I found the BC Libertarian Party. I said, okay, great. They hold meetings once a month. So I started attending those meetings and getting to know folks there. And kind of the rest is history. I've been involved the last 2.5 years, and it's one of the best decisions I've made. I mean, I really feel like joining this movement and delving deeper into this philosophy and getting to know this wonderful community of people has really enriched my life in so many ways. And so I've committed myself to basically reaching out with this message and allowing the opportunity for other people to have this great experience by finding out about this philosophy and this community. So that's why I believe that we need to run as many candidates as we can. I pushed really hard back in the last provincial election to get 30 candidates on the ballot, and every year I try to organize at least a couple of events where people can come and share experiences and have the kind of great experience that I had at the Students for Liberty conference back in 2015. So yeah, that's my libertarian origin story. I hope that if you haven't shared yours already on the Facebook page, please feel free to do so, and come get involved, become a member if you haven't done so already. Join this great community, and yeah, have your life enriched by the new friends that you'll make, the new ideas that you'll share with people, and yeah, just that great sense of community and belonging to a cause that has the potential to make the world a much better place.